And welcome to Flightdeck Live. I am Tim Capper, along with Cliffy D. It's the Alouettes post-game show for week 2 versus the Edmonton Elks. Another win in the books, just so early to start this season, buddy. I mean, it's very to start the season on the road with 2 straight home games. Excuse me, 2 consecutive road games is tough enough. But to be able to come out of it undefeated going into their home opener next Thursday, this team seems to be gelling at the right time.
Without question. And let's be honest, tonight's win was bowling shoe ugly. It was not pretty at all, but a win's a win. There are no style points in the Canadian Football League, and the Alouettes did what they had to do. And I mean, Edmonton gave them everything they could handle. You know what? I did not expect, I did not have on my bingo card this year that the Edmonton Elks would give a much tougher match to the Montreal Alouettes than the Winnipeg Blue Bombers did. Didn't see that coming.
No, I will admit, I know exactly what you're talking I know exactly what you're talking about, dude. I do. Alouettes come away with a 23-20 win. And as I said, start 2-0 on the road. In consecutive games to start the season for the first time since 2003. So it's I know people are saying, it's like starting on the road, Grey Cup champions. It's happened before where we started on the road for consecutive games to start the season. But again, I like last week it was a little bit of an outlier when it came to the score at the end of the game. This was a lot tighter game than it was last week. But again, another, I don't want to call it a garbage time touchdown at the end of the game, but still, the Alouettes really did seem to just dominate this game.
By and large, they did. They got it together and they did things. But I mean, at the same time, too, Edmonton didn't just roll over and die. Like I know all the experts on CFL.ca had predicted the Alouettes were going to win, and sure enough, they did. But at the same time, Edmonton made them work for this win. There's no question about that.
Yeah, it's true. Man, where do we want to start here, buddy? I mean, it's
I'll tell you where we should start.
Sure.
I know the Elks are looking for private ownership, but I don't know if you realize this, Tim, but I think the Elks' new owner, or at least the owner of Commonwealth Stadium, tonight was in attendance. His name was Walter Fletcher. Fletch lives.
I was wondering where you were going with this.
Walter Fletcher played a grown man's game tonight. The former Elk, let's not forget.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember last year, we were out in Edmonton for that game, and we saw Fletch afterwards, and you knew he wanted to do something special. He wanted to really show the Elks that they made a mistake in trading him to the Alouettes. And it took a little longer than expected. I mean, even with winning a Grey Cup and all that, to really want to show them up, he wanted to come back to Commonwealth Stadium and dominate. And that's exactly what he did tonight. He played one hell of a game, and I got to take my hat off to him. He did a fantastic job, both catching and running the ball. Absolutely outstanding work tonight by number 25.
Yeah, he didn't get the 100 yards rushing that he had mentioned to us last home game last time we were out in Edmonton, as you stated. But he did get over 100 total yards today.
Mm-hmm.
He really was an integral part in this offense.
He was, and I have to laugh. He scored a receiving touchdown by a really. That throw that Cody made to Fletch, he had no business making that. That was also kind of ugly as well, but that just speaks to the kind of player that Walter Fletcher is, that he was able to take chicken poop and turn it into chicken salad. And he had a hell of a run to get into the end zone for that first one. And then in the fourth quarter, Montreal was just trying to kill the clock as much as possible, right? Like, you're less than 3 minutes left in the game. You're just trying to bleed the clock as best you can and just put a couple of points on the board just as an insurance marker, because at that point they were up by 4. And Walter was just not having that. He's like, nah, I got to go home. I got to take this to the house. And sure enough, I believe that was a 46-yard run that he made.
It was a 39-yard run for the touchdown.
I stand corrected, but
But
still,
still.
still a hell of a run, and just almost looked like everybody was caught napping as a result. And listen, if you're gonna let Walter Fletcher run in time and space, then you know you get what you deserve, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. By the way, the game started off a little. There was a little bit of surprise at the very beginning of the game where we found out that there were two minor changes to the actual roster heading into the game itself. Brock Gowanlock was moved to the one game, I guess, healthy scratch, and we had another wide receiver, Jose Barbon, was slotted into place. Didn't see much of him tonight, and considering what happened last week too, Tyson Philpott was very, very quiet, especially in that first half. Got a little stuff, a little bit in the second half itself, but his touchdown streak is over. But but the Alouettes still get that win, though.
Yeah, instead of Tyson Philpott being the star of the show on offense in that first half, it ended up being Cole Speaker. My goodness, what a touchdown he scored!
Cole Loudspeaker. That's my new
Cole.
nickname.
I like it. Loud. He was loud tonight for sure. I mean, wow. I have a feeling that Tyson Philpott had been getting double coverage that first half, like just nonstop, because I think the Elks forgot that. Oh yeah, Cole Speaker still plays on this team, and he'll take those yards. He'll move the chains, and that juggling act he did in the end zone to catch that first touchdown from Montreal. Yeah. Whoo! That could have been all kinds of ugly, but no, Cole just hauled it in, and I mean, it still doesn't top his catch in the Grey Cup as far as like money catches go, but that was pretty nice as well this evening against Edmonton. So props to Cole Speaker, played a hell of a game. But I mean, as far as this offense goes, I mean, Cody Fajardo did the thing. He moved the ball. He made plays happen. Did not get picked off this week, so that's definitely a positive. Took a couple of sacks though, and we got to talk about this offensive line for the Alouettes. Wow, it was tough sledding for them, especially for Josh Donovan.
Second week in a row, unfortunately. Yeah.
He was getting burnt like toast, and not good. I think he had one or two holding penalties.
One that cost the Alouettes, I think, a large gain. And yeah, it's I don't know what the Owls will do, if anything, with what Danny Mac and Jason Moss will do, if anything. I mean, it's just Cody is just.
He took a bit of a pounding tonight.
Yeah. You just watch it. It's like, okay, are you going to hold up? Are you going to hold up? And it's like, you missed it tonight, missed that one. It's like, it can be very frustrating, and it can be a concern going forward, obviously.
Yeah, it's there where you really miss a Jamar McGloster, because I mean, again, call it growing pains. Maybe it's all part of the process. I mean, let's not forget, this is Josh Donovan's first year in the Canadian Football League, so I understand giving him the chance to sort of work out those kinks, and I think he knows he's got to be better, but at the same time, like, you're still holding your breath, because like, if he's not getting a penalty, or he's just letting a defender blow by him en route to the quarterback, it's still not a good look. So now, to his credit though, he did have a great block on that second Walter Fletcher touchdown. So you take the good with the bad, I suppose. But it's definitely something, if I'm Danny Machocha, I'd be concerned with. But maybe it's just a simple matter of, it's still part of the learning process. And you know what? If you're going to make those mistakes, I'd rather he make them now in the month of June, as opposed to October, November. I think that's that's something, that would be the hope anyways. This is all part of the learning process for young Donovan. So, at the same time though, you're still cringing, like, oh my gosh, oh boy, just yeah.
Hey, is it possible to say this was really a game of two halves? Because if you look at the halftime stats itself alone, Cliff, Cody was 12 of 17 at 201 and 2 touchdowns. Fletch had 23 yards. KJG, which seems to be getting quite a bit of work these past 2 weeks, seems to be the one of the main guys, and I'm glad he's getting the targets and stuff like that, because he's showing what he can actually do. Especially after being being hurt twice last year. Darnell Sankey and Cosby also got a sack each. We'll talk about the defense here in a couple of minutes. But then in the second half, I mean, the Alouettes, neither team scored in the third quarter.
Lost the
Owls
two
had,
outs.
yep, Owls had some issues in the second half with kicking. Once on a missed field goal, and then once on a missed extra point.
A
Cody
doink.
ended up. Hmm?
Cote doinked that PAT.
Yeah, I know. So Cody
Yeesh.
ended up 20 of 30 for only 269. So he had only 68 yards in the second half. Everything else went to everybody else. I mean, the Washington game, as we saw with Fletch and stuff like that, and KJG and stuff like. We'll get to the, KJG ended up leading the team with receptions and yards this week. 6 receptions for 89 yards. Fletch did finish the game with 12 attempts for 82 and that one tutty. Speaker and Fletcher also had the touchdowns. So what are your thoughts going forward when it, first half to second half?
It truly was a tale of two halves. I think Montreal looked like they had their act together, and not doing anything outstanding other than just not making any mistakes. I think that was key, was just to not make any mistakes. You didn't have to do anything super fancy. Cole Speaker's touchdown notwithstanding, but it was just a simple matter of just work your plan and plan your work. That's really what it was for the first half of the Alouettes. It was just maintaining things, and they ended up leading by 4 at halftime. The second half, though, it was simply a matter of just nothing was clicking, and I got to give the props to the Edmonton Elks. Their defensive line definitely made Cody work. Again, he had to work for everything tonight, and I'll even go as far as to say both defensive lines, I think, were the stars of the show. We talked about this on the Turf District podcast. I thought this was going to be a battle that was going to be won in the trenches, and I think by and large, defensively, that's where the Alouettes showed their true dominance, was just being able to hang with Edmonton and make McLeod Bethel-Thompson make mistakes and keep a lot of their guys in check for the most part. But offensively, though, I mean, I would have liked Montreal to have been able to put points on the board a little sooner, but I guess Walter Fletcher was just saving it for last. And I mean, again, at the end of the day, they did what they had to do. They got the win. It wasn't pretty, but now the Alouettes are 2-0 and about to go home and finally have their home opener, have their championship banner unfurling, all the good stuff that happens. Now, finally, Montreal will get to see their reigning, defending, undisputed Grey Cup champions in action.
And very close to a sellout. The Alouettes announced that they've already sold over 20,000 tickets for this game. So, but there are still some available. By the way, final stats have come out. Cliff, you do have them available to you, as I have sent them out. I am, as we're talking about the offense, we still have to give a big, huge shout out to the defense, because if it really wasn't for the defense this game, Cliff, as I said, the score may have been 23-20, but it really wasn't indicative to the actual game itself. This defense played absolutely amazing. I know, obviously, we mentioned the sacks in the first half, but then couple that with the defense and the interceptions at the right time in the second half really helped the Alouettes, and obviously putting the pressure too on McLeod Bethel-Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, Nafis Lyon and Kebion Ento. Wow, just when they needed those picks at the most opportune time, that's exactly when they happened for the Alouettes. Especially Kebion's pick. The Elks were this late. They'd marched down the field like almost surgically, just keep moving down. I think there was 1 or 2 penalties that also helped the Alouettes, or actually helped the Elks move the chains. They were threatening to score, and that pass from MBT, yeesh. I mean, that was not a great ball that was thrown. I have to believe it might have been tipped, or his throwing motion may have been affected a little bit, but keep calm and Kebion. I mean, he read the mail perfectly, and even the receiver was he was already in the end zone. He thought this was a surefire touchdown, but Ento was having none of that. I mean, give props to this guy. All this guy does is just make absolutely outstanding defensive plays happen. You saw it in the Grey Cup, picking off Zach Claros in the end zone, and you saw it again tonight, picking off McLeod Bethel-Thompson. Just when the Alouettes truly needed that scoring drive halted by the Elks, that's exactly what Ento did, and you got to give him props. It was absolutely outstanding.
Oh yeah, for sure. And again, it seems, I said both of these. I don't know what it was about Macbeth tonight. He seemed to be on for most of the game. It just that you know, like last week, the Alouettes were able to come through with basic. As I said, both these interceptions were when the Edmonton was driving.
Yeah, and again, I'll give a lot of credit to the Elks. I think they played a solid game in the sense that really didn't they didn't try to give this game away. As I said, the Elks made the Alouettes work for this victory, and I think just like it was against Saskatchewan, there was a lot of explosive plays that happened that just the Elks had no answer for, and I think that was key for Montreal tonight. Was they were able to take those opportunities and make the most out of them. I mean, simply put, you've got to put points on the board. You're not going to just outlast a team like Edmonton. I think they're. Is it crazy to say that they're probably the best 0-2 team of the Canadian Football League right now?
They looked good. They really did look good, and I know it's frustrating for Elks fans. Obviously, I mean, I saw what this attendance was, just over 15,000 tonight in Edmonton. They need to get and it's gonna be tough there because they're going to go on the road this week. But um, yeah, we're talking about KB and Ento, what Nafis Lyon also, man. What an interception by him too. As I said,
Second
able.
week in a row.
Mhm.
Incredible. And same kind of interception too. Like, I mean, that looked like a surefire pass, and he just snagged it right out of midair. Like, you love to see it, and especially for a guy who was injured for most of, well, I say the better part of 2023, for him to come back better than ever, as far as I'm concerned. Like, he looked like he was on fire. Simply put, he was just outstanding on defense last week against Winnipeg, and now this week against Edmonton. The Nafis Lyon looked like a true stud out there.
Yep. Sacks tonight did go to Darnell Sankey in the first half. Bryce Cosby, replacement for Reggie Stubblefield in the first half. And also, dude, the Mustafa Johnson, they gave him, obviously, they did give him a sack, but on that third down gamble,
Third and
right?
two.
Yeah. Right up the and on one of the best in the league in Dakota Prokot, who's able to, he seems to be, when it comes to doing these short yarders things, he's usually the goat in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody missed the block. It's as if Mustafa just parted the sea and he had a clear, a clear view
Yeah.
to stopping the play and getting the turnover on downs for the Owls.
If you didn't know better, you swear he just materialized in front of Prukop and just wrapped him right up. Like, holy crap, that was.
Well, besides tearing off his helmet.
Well, I think that was just incidental. I don't think there was anything malicious about it. It was just because otherwise the referee definitely would have thrown a flag, and that would have absolutely sucked to get a penalty for that. But no, I mean, wow, Mustafa Johnson was. This is what we expected of Mustafa Johnson. I mean, you could tell he wanted to get this game over with so he can get his shirt off again. I think that's really what it was. He just wanted to. He doesn't want to wear his jersey. He just wants to run around shirtless and be done with it. Like, I think it insults him to have to wear a jersey while he's doing his job.
Yeah. What else stood out about this defense tonight? Because they said they were. It wasn't as a dominating game as it was last week, but the Alouettes, the defense did really well this week. They were able, especially one of the better guys who again against Macbeth, who's very consistent with his passing. Again, most people need to remember that Macbeth is he's a 500 quarterback in his career. Also, we were hearing tonight that fans were getting frustrated with him because they started chanting for Trey Ford. Does that seem familiar, by the way?
Yep. And listen, I don't blame Elks fans. I mean, Club Bethel Thompson is a very good quarterback, but as you said, he's a 500 quarterback as well. So, I mean, he's going to win games and he's going to lose games. Tonight ends up losing them, but I can understand the frustration for Elks fans, especially after being so close to being Saskatchewan last week and giving Montreal all they could handle tonight. I mean, as I said, are the Elks the best 0-2 team in the Canadian Football League right now? I'll say yes. I mean, and I promise I'm not trying to be insulting about it, but it's just, this is a good team. There's definitely some good pieces here. They just got it. They're just missing that little key element to turn that loss into a win. And I don't know what exactly it is, but like I still think this is a team that's going to be a problem, especially out west. And it's just they're going up against the champs tonight, and I mean Montreal proved that. Listen, this team is for real. A little bit tougher assignment tonight than it was last week against Winnipeg, but Montreal did what they had to do, simply put. And now they get to go home undefeated and take on the Ottawa Redblacks, who they themselves are also undefeated, having won their first
Yeah,
game against, believe it or not, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Like,
I know, which was an
wow.
amazing game. If nobody watched it, you have to go back and watch it on CFL Plus because it was a hell of a game last night. So
Mm.
even with the weather delay,
Even
um,
with the weather delay, yeah,
yeah,
it was a, a great win for Ottawa. I mean, and now, like, are, should people be concerned in Bomberland? I mean, like I said, they 0-2 and did not look good. I mean, they looked better against Ottawa, but still, I mean, that was a game that they had to have. They had to find a way to steal that one, and they couldn't do it. So
yeah. A couple of things that stood out to me tonight. One of the things that was really scary, obviously, with losing Tyler Sneed, was the hit by Purefoy on Cole Speaker.
oof,
I saw him go down, and we've been watching football long enough to know that if there is potentially an issue when it comes to concussion, you usually see there's a certain thing that a player can do if they've been concussed. The hands will curl, arms will go up, or something like that. I saw, um, I saw Cole doing something, and I thought, "Oh God, he has a concussion." But it looked like he got the wind knocked out of him. Thank goodness.
yeah,
But man, I mean, we know Cole's a smaller dude, and that just hit was clean, very clean hit.
yep,
Went with his shoulder, but man, it just looked really, really rough.
yeah. I think Lucas Purifoy stole his soul. I mean, on that play, but I give Cole credit. I mean, he took the lick, and yeah, definitely knocked the wind out of him for sure. Because you saw him on the sidelines with the oxygen mask, just trying to get his breath back. I mean,
Hmm.
and again, he was back in the game. I think the next series or the series after that. So I mean, it was still tough. My concern though was Eugene Lewis. He
Yeah, near
took
the in the game too. Yeah, they pulled him. Yeah.
yeah, he took a major, and he had those rubber legs too. Like he was looking wobbly, and he was still staying out there. Like I don't know why
Hmm.
the independent spotter, it took him like 2-3 plays to pull Gino out of there. I'm like, why is Gino out there? Like he got his bell rung. Like I'm glad they took him out eventually, but geez, like that should have been done a lot sooner. Like because you saw like as soon as he started to kind of wobble like that,
Hmm.
like oh not good, not good, and then
Yeah.
he stayed in. I'm like, what? Wait, what? That no, no. I mean, I know he's a very important part of the Edmonton attack, but I mean, still, if just the way he kind of got back up and did not look good. And thankfully, though, the independent spotter did signal down to the field and told the referees to get him out of there. And I think that was for his own good too. And and Gino's a gamer. He wants to be out there, especially he has a chance to try and get that win against his former team. I'm sure that's got to be weighing on him just a little bit. But at the end of the day, you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care. Make sure you stay safe. And I think the independent spotter did the right thing, get him out of there, and at this point, just have faith in the rest of your team.
Yeah, and there obviously there's going to be a whole season worth of WTF plays, and both you and I text texted each other at the exact same time where the Alouettes tried a trick play on 3rd and 15, midway through. I think it was midway through the third quarter.
Yep.
It failed miserably because they tried to run even though they tried to go with. I guess they're trying to do some decoy stuff because I think it was it Antwi that went out wide
Yeah.
and no,
And
it went to
Fajardo,
Antwi. It went to Antwi. Sorry, it went to Antwi.
yeah,
Uh,
and Fajardo was on the field, and called the audible right away and just went back right underneath under center, even though it was 3rd and 15, and again was really trying to catch them napping and just No, no. I joked that he saw through the Elks saw through that like grandma's underpants. It
Yeah.
was
Oh, geez. But luckily on that play, there was a penalty on Edmonton, and it gave us another shot, and we were able to do like we should have done and punt the ball. I
yeah.
mean, I could see them trying the fake punt or the onside punt in that circumstance, but I just don't understand. The plays didn't make any sense whatsoever to try it at that point. I mean, look, yes, they were at midfield, so you're not really losing much.
Mhm.
Um, but still, it's that was a questionable call. But then again, it didn't come back to bite them in the butt.
Yeah. So thankfully for that. I mean, no, that penalty, which was you know could have been a tough play for Montreal, especially if somebody had gotten hurt, and it looked like Antwi coughed up the ball initially, but I think they would have ruled him down might have ruled him down by contact anyways, but with that low block by the
Mhm.
Edmonton defender,
That's what it was. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, like hitting him below the waist, which is a no. So
Mhm.
that, as you said, that saved the Alouettes from themselves, and they were able to punt and live to fight another day.
Exactly. Obviously, we're going to be going over this in a lot more detail on the show on Wednesday, as we also preview the home opener for the Alouettes this coming Thursday. Want to remind everybody, if you haven't done so already, make sure you head over to our socials, and if you don't have tickets to the game already, remember we are giving away a pair of the Sport Buff Flight Crew seats. All you got to do is just reply to the tweet or to the post over on our Facebook page, and we'll be making the draw this Monday, and you'll be finding out if you'll be heading to the game on Thursday to watch the Grey Cup banner be raised, and just have some fun there with 20,000 plus people over at Percival Molson Stadium.
Yeah, but you gotta work for it, folks. You can't. We're not just giving you the tickets just for the heck of it. You gotta let us know why we should pick you and who you're gonna bring with you, because you're getting two tickets to see this game. So
Mhm.
by all means, get on over to our socials on X, on Facebook. Let us know if you want to go to this game. First of all, if you don't have tickets, shame on you, because as you can see, they're starting to sell out. So if you want to be
Yep.
a part of this, you want to see this championship team open their season at home. Well, not open their season, but have their home opener at Percival Molson Stadium. You got to get on this. You got to get in this contest, and do what you got to do to be there. And if you can do it by winning those flight crew seats, so much the better.
And also, for those of you who are watching us live, or where it be a little bit later on, make sure if you're watching us currently on YouTube to go ahead and hit the like button. Let us know that you like the show and what you're seeing, and also make sure you leave a comment. Also, if you're watching us on either on Facebook or on X, make sure you go ahead and you retweet us over on X, and make sure you leave a like. Or share us over on Facebook, because we love doing these post game shows for you. And obviously next week, stay tuned, because Flightdeck Live from Percival Molson Stadium. So
Yeah, so excited. I mean, it was great to watch these two Alouette victories on the road. Couldn't be there for either one of those games, but that's okay, because you and I, Tim, we will be at Percival Molson Stadium. We will be seeing this championship team live, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be back at our summer home, if you will, and watch this team defend the nest. I think that's what all of Alouettes Nation is looking forward to, is finally seeing these Alouettes play live here in Montreal.
exactly, and so much is going on this week. And before we finish up the show here, Cliff, we appreciate everybody for joining us, even late tonight, because of when the game ended. We appreciate every one of you for joining us. Obviously, any last thoughts? Any last bits on the game itself tonight before we go?
Honestly, it really was a simple matter of Montreal just did what they had to do. They got the win. I have to admit, I was a little worried with that, the possibility with that onside kick being recovered by Edmonton. And because we've seen this before. We remember back in 2019, the Alouettes were down by 10 points, scored a touchdown, onside kick recovery, managed to get down to kick the field goal to tie the game and go into overtime. That could have just as easily happened here too, but thankfully Boris Bede, I think, was trying to outsmart everybody. And I think maybe he may have overthought the onside kick and kicked it literally right into the gut of Jeffrey Conte And gotta give him props. He played a very solid game today, but also to just be able to have the presence of mind just to fall forward on the ball and just lean on it. And that pretty much meant, okay, all Montreal had to do was just bleed the clock, and win number 2 is in the books, simply put.
Exactly. And hopefully we'll shut up Bede again, because he was his normal smart ass
He was
self tonight.
he was beaking a little bit, and that's what he does, right? Like, God
You
forbid,
just need to remember
Montreal.
what happened to him on that Letcher return in the East final last year. You remember that, Bede?
I guarantee that moment lives rent free in his head, and was probably thinking about that tonight. Like, okay, you go to Edmonton, you start over fresh, but just a little reminder, like, oh yeah, we remember you. So, he can talk his trash all he wants, but I would just have to say one thing: scoreboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scoreboard.
Again, we appreciate everybody who joined us for our Flight Deck Live post-game show this week. We will be speaking to you from the pod on Wednesday. Make sure you do tune in on all of our socials. Again, as we get ready for the home opener for the 2024 home season for the Montreal Alouettes. So good seeing you, Cliff. Alouettes improved to 2-0 on the season, winning their first 2 road games to start a season for the first time since 2003, and doing it for the 6th time over in franchise history. I appreciate you. Yeah, I know. I appreciate you, bud. And I appreciate everybody who joined us this for the broadcast this week. So for everybody here at Flight Deck Live, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.